So Kaizen was formed about 5 years ago, and it was formed because myself and my business partner Dario Crispini felt that financial firms and consultants weren't able to test or reconcile the reg reporting data that financial firms were reporting. And in the UK, that was really acute because firms were getting fined millions of pounds for getting the data incorrect. And at its heart, we felt that firms were and consultancies were testing just a sample set of data. And our approach is to test it all and treat reg reporting as a data problem. So our key services are, we test the accuracy of the reports that the regulator receive. We also test the completeness, and we also test the firm's reference data. And these are the three core areas that any financial firm needs to have tested in order to evidence that they're reporting correctly. Regulators have real problems themselves. During the financial crisis, they could say, well, we didn't have the data, so how could we tell where the next crisis, where the issues were? Since the financial crash, they've got all of the data they've requested, but the problem now is the data quality. Absolutely, yeah. There isn't any real difference, and that's not surprising, really. When we test for firms, there are three areas that really account for most of the issues. Firms aren't deliberately trying to get the data incorrect, but they've either misinterpreted the rules. The rules are complex, and so therefore they've implemented the regulation incorrectly. They've understood the rules correctly, but they've coded it up incorrectly. Or finally, they're using incorrect reference data. And at any point in time, errors can be introduced. So even when firms get it right, the next month, because they have multiple systems that need releases, new errors are introduced. Our big differentiator is that we test all transactions and we test all data fields. And when we say all transactions, we have clients that report over 1 million transactions. And for our European regulation, MiFID, we have over 1,000 tests per transaction. And in Asia, for our MAS, HKMA and ASIC testing, we already have 500 tests per transaction. And we run that against all of their clients' transactions. So at the end of the year, the client can go to the regulator and say, we have confidence in what we've reported to you because we've undertaken this testing.
That sounds great.
Previously, firms used to think build was always better than buy. And so firms, even the largest investment banks, took the view that it was better to build than to buy. And that has changed 180 degrees. And increasingly we're seeing at financial firms, both on the sell side and the buy side, in Europe, US and Asia, those that control the money looking for almost like their own app store. So in the regulatory and compliance space, why try and get somebody to build it from scratch when there's a firm that's out there that's all they do? So more and more I think we'll see that internal IT spend will come down, and that budget will be transferred to specialists who are able to provide a better service and mutualize the cost.
Yeah.
Reg reporting is really an opportunity for financial firms, one of the few opportunities to give the regulator a good impression on how they are as a firm. And if you're not able to get that data correct, then they will start wondering about how well you're controlling your business. So the key things to look at: A, any changes in the regulation, that's absolutely critical. B, looking at whether you can evidence how good your reporting is. And I guess the third thing that I was always asked by my managing directors when I was working in banking is, how good is the reporting? And if I do have issues, how big and how widespread are those issues? If you can't answer those questions, then your senior manager will be under pressure from the regulator, and you're more likely to get a closer scrutiny of your performance. So when you're implementing any new regulation, unfortunately, because of the it's always done under such short timelines, quite often firms jettison the controls, the reconciliations and the accuracy testing. And if you do this and you go live, then you open yourself to huge risk. So first of all, make sure that when you're delivering on new regulations, you get those controls in place. Secondly, make sure you're doing that horizon scanning to make sure you capture any changes. And finally, don't be afraid to talk to the regulator. The regulator is most concerned with firms that report no issues, because all firms will have issues in their reporting, and they don't hear from those firms.